In this video, we're going to talk about average rate of change. So let's say you have a function, y equals f of x, and you have 2 points on the function. So this point right here is x1 and f of x1. F of x1 is the y value of x1. And you have a second point, x2, and f of x2. F of x2 is the y value of x2. So when we say average rate of change between 2 points is the slope of a line that passes through these 2 points, which we call it a secant line. So basically, if you want to find the average rate of change on the interval from x1 to x2, which are the x values, all you got to do is find the slope of this line. And if you remember from algebra, to find the slope of a line, it is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But in this book, we're going to use f of x2, which is a y value of x2. And we're going to use f of x1, which is a y value of x1. So this is the same thing as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So basically, when you want to find the average rate of change, you're finding the slope of the line that passes through those 2 points. So let's say you want to find the average rate of change of f of x equals negative x cubed plus 3x on each interval. And here's our first interval from negative 2 to negative 1. So if you look at negative 2 and then negative 2 and negative 1, here's a point on negative 2, here's a point on negative 1. So this is a secant line that goes through it. So what will be the slope of this secant line? So we need 2 points. So negative 2, comma, f of negative 2, and negative 1, comma, f of negative 1. So how do we find f of negative 2? Well, you got to plug in over here to find the y value. So negative 2 to the third is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative is positive 8. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. So you end up with 2. What about f of negative 1? Well, that's going to be negative 1 cubed plus 3 times negative 1, which is going to be positive 1 minus 3, so it's negative 2. So therefore, we have 2 points, negative 2, comma 2, and negative 1, comma negative 2. Now, in order to find the average rate of change, all we got to do is find the slope, which is negative 2 minus 2, negative 2 minus 2 over negative 1 minus negative 2. That's because, remember, it's f of x2 minus f of x1 over x2 minus x1. This is our x1, and this is f of x1. This is our x2, and that's f of x2. So what do we get when you evaluate? I should have put this over here and the work over here, but you get the idea. So you get negative 4 over 1, which is going to be negative 4. What about on the interval from 0 to 1? Well, 0 is over here, that's the point, and at 1, there's a point. So line going through these 2 points is this one right here. So to find the average rate of change on this interval, you got to find the slope of this red line. So in order to do that, we got to find f of 0 and f of 1. The y value of 0, y value of 1. So plug in 0, what do you get? You get 0. And plug in 1, you're going to get negative 1 plus 3, which is 2. So we have 2 points, which is 0, 0, and 1, and 2. So this is our x1. That's f of x1. This is x2, and this is f of x2. So how do you find the slope? That's going to be 2 minus 0, 2 minus 0, over 1 minus 0, which is going to be 2. So average rate of change of this function on the interval from 0 to 1 is 2. Let's take a look at our last example. They want you to find the average rate of change. Again, the another word for average rate of change is slope. So as soon as you see the word average rate of change, you need to think about the word slope of each function on the given interval. So we have a function over here and we have an interval, 2 to 3. So what will be the average change of this function from 2 to 3? So therefore we need 2 points. We need 2 comma f of 2, and we need 3 comma f of 3. So what is f of 2? Well, you got to plug in instead of x. And you get 8, 2 squared is 4, minus 8, minus 6, plus 2. So you get negative 4. What about f of 3? That's 3 cubed minus 2, 3 squared minus 3 times 3 plus 2. So you get 27 minus 18 minus 9 plus 2, which is going to be 2. So we have 2 points. We have 2 comma negative 4, and we have 3 comma 2. So what is the slope? What is the average rate of change of these 2 points? So it's going to be 2 minus negative 4 over 3 minus 2, which is going to be 6 over 1, therefore is 6. So average rate of change of this function from 2 to 3 will be 6. In other words, slope of a line going through these 2 points is 6.